Prompt: create a character who cannot speak, but needs to show that they care. Old Grandpa Carl and his wife of 62 years, Grandma Elaine, were a couple as old as time, according to locals. They were often seen at an early brunch or shopping together at their local grocery store, the both of them holding onto their cart together as Elaine would grab items from the shelf and shakily cross them off her list. It wasn't until the arrival of their grandson, Thomas, where their lives, and his, began to change. Thomas was asked by his mother to help tend to her parents, as his grandmother was now no longer able to drive. Concerned more about his weekend plans, the young boy protested his new weekly arrangement, but was ultimately fighting an unwinnable battle. Week after week, the boy drove down to take his grandparents to their usual spots. First out to brunch, then to the store, then back to their rural home, mostly in silence. Though, at the end of each trip, despite his bad mood, Thomas would always go home on a full stomach with a hearty hug from his Grandma Elaine and a handshake from his Grandpa Carl, who would often leave a $20 bill in his hand. It was long after these trips began where Thomas began to understand why so many people respected his grandparents. Whenever he stopped to watch them, he would learn something new. They always went to brunch because the owner's daughter left them to tend with her 3 kids, and in their case, every dollar really did count. At the store, they shared a cart because Carl could not see and Elaine had trouble walking, but he was able to keep the cart straight, and she was able to see the items they were purchasing. Together, they were the perfect team. Thomas's natural curiosity in their house full of history was almost never sated. There was always something new to find. Pictures, old flowers from their trips abroad, memoirs from the days they were new parents, and so on. It wasn't until Thomas found an old article about his Grandpa Carl asking, "How do you find the time and energy to do all that you do?" And his grandpa's answer, buried deep within the article, read, "Well, that's easy, Miss Bay. You see, I try to live my life like I'm the strongest man in the room. And if you ask me, strong men do a whole lot more than they say." Thomas kept this quote with him through the most tumultuous years of his life, well into his adulthood. And when that day came, one he regarded as the most painful of his life, he knew he had to be the strongest man he could at their funeral. Not just for himself or for them, but for his mother. It was she who had to be the primary caretaker for Elaine when Carl passed, and when Elaine did finally join her husband in death, it was Thomas's mother who showed him the last gifts his grandparents left him. Hundreds of letters and notes of dearest thanks, praise, and love for their grandson helping him through their toughest years. "But they never spoke a word," he said to his mother. "Of course not, dear," she replied. "One couldn't speak and the other couldn't hear, and no one ever truly knew which was which. But for them, it didn't matter, because not only did they have each other, but they were blessed also to have you."